Kris Kobach is the Kansas Secretary of State. If you've heard of him, it's likely due to his push to restrict voting rights in Kansas and nationwide. Now he's running for governor of Kansas, and as a Kansas resident, I want to talk about him in particular today and why it is imperative that he be stopped. Now, if you're not from Kansas, here's a little background on Kris Kobach. Kobach is the mastermind behind the national push to restrict voting rights through voter ID laws, throwing away provisional ballots, making it more difficult to register to vote, and through purging voter rolls using a system called interstate cross-check. If you want to learn more about this, I highly recommend you check out Greg Palast's documentary, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy, and also an interview that Palast gave with Abby Martin earlier this year. I'll provide a description to that interview or a link to that interview in the description below, mingled my words there, and I will also provide a link to Palast's website. Kobach was also appointed by Trump to be on his voter fraud commission that he set up earlier this year, and Kobach is the de facto head of this commission. And the reason is because Kobach likes to cite voter fraud as the justification for restricting voter rights, when the fact is that, despite Kobach's claims, voter fraud is an incredibly rare problem. Kobach is also a committed nativist. He is a consul for the Immigration Law Reform Institute, which is the legal arm of the Federation for American Immigration Reform, or FAIR, a group Kobach is a member of. FAIR is recognized as a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, and it was founded by John Tanton. It espouses Tanton's views on immigration, which are based on eugenics and a desire to control the population, and Kobach has a working relationship with Tanton as well. In 2015, Kobach spoke at an event hosted by the Social Contract Press, a group founded by Tanton as well, alongside speakers from other wonderful hate groups such as Act for America, the Eagle Forum, and VDARE. In addition to Kobach's associations with hate groups, he also was the main author behind Arizona's notorious SB 1070, which included the notorious Show Me Your Papers provision, and he was the main author of Alabama HB 56, a law which led many Hispanic immigrants to flee the state of Alabama and did a great deal of damage to the state's agricultural sector and their economy as a whole. In February 2016, Kobach endorsed Trump because of Trump's views on immigration, and he became a major advisor to the Trump campaign. He helped expand on Trump's plans for a border wall, a Muslim registry, and he encouraged Trump to talk more about non-existent voter fraud and encourage that obsession in general. Now, all of this has led Kobach to be labeled the most racist politician in America today. Now he's running for governor of my home state, and if he wins, it will be disastrous for Kansas. First, he already plans to continue his assaults on voting rights by making it even more difficult to vote early and vote by absentee ballot, and also wants to strip the voting rights from Kansans who have been convicted of felonies permanently. He also wants to crack down on quote-unquote illegal immigration by passing laws similar to the ones that he helped draft in Alabama, which did significant damage to the state's agricultural sector, and we would probably see similar results if such a law was to be passed in Kansas, likely marking the end of the Kansas agricultural economy, or what we just call the Kansas economy. And I haven't even touched on what he wants to do to the state's budget. He is a big-time supporter of our current governor, Sam Brownback's tax policy. Under Brownback, taxes for the corporations and the rich were cut significantly, which led to significant budget shortfalls, which prompted cuts to education, infrastructure, and other public agencies, followed by a major increase in sales tax. This was recently undone by our state legislature, but Kobach has pledged not only to work to undo this repeal by the state legislature, but to cut taxes even further, which will only mean more cuts to education, more cuts to infrastructure, more increases in sales tax, and working families getting hammered even more than they already are. As you can see, Kobach is incredibly dangerous, and it is imperative that he be stopped. So, in order to do this, there are several things we must do. 1. Engage in direct action. Kansas politics is not exactly known for direct action, but if we are going to stop Kobach, we're going to need to change that. This means that we're going to have to disrupt his meetings and events, and when he comes to your town, you're going to have to go and protest them. Even if he isn't coming, be willing to go to or organize a protest against him in your town, on the weekend, during the week, outside a campaign meeting, whatever. You must protest and must must show opposition to his campaign in the streets, and when he comes to town, disrupt and engage in nonviolent civil disobedience. If you don't live in Kansas, please be willing to engage in these direct action efforts yourself, because this man's influence already goes beyond state lines, and if he becomes governor, he will become a member of the National Governors Association, and his power and influence will become even greater. Number 2, build coalitions and join groups. Many activist groups in Kansas are already opposed to Kobach, and so it is a good idea to get involved in them. And these are not just groups on the left. It's not just red flag waving leftists like myself who oppose Kobach. He is opposed by liberals, Democrats, moderates, and even other Republicans. Not too long ago, I was speaking to a Republican state representative who was telling me that they were very concerned about Kobach becoming governor and the possibility of that happening. Reach out and build coalitions across the political spectrum with people who oppose Kobach. We will be much stronger if we work together against Kobach and put all our resources and assets together in the fight. While we may not agree on everything, if we put aside our difference for this cause, there is no way that we can be defeated here. Number 3, inform the public. The more people who are informed about the dangers Kobach poses, the more likely it is that they will show up to engage in direct action, and they will show up to vote on Election Day. Write letters to the editor of the Kansas City Star and the Wichita Eagle and other Kansas newspapers. Make posts online, hand out flyers at the farmers market, anything. Just be sure that people know how dangerous Kobach is. This is how we are going to engage with the public at large and how we're going to get them on our side. And number 4, vote. The best defense is a good offense, and so we are going to need a strong progressive alternative to Kobach in the election. Now, some people will be thinking that we could probably just defeat him at the primary level. However, I would discourage this idea. As one, Kobach is already going to be facing a lot of other opponents in the primary, and so he will have a much easier chance of forming a single unified candidacy against his opponents, who will be heavily divided. Also, it is very hard to do things like party rating at the statewide level. While party rating and voting for moderates can be more effective at local levels and state representatives, it's much harder for statewide offices. This means that we're going to have to look to the Democrats. I know I've been very critical of the Democrats on this channel, but there's only 3 parties in Kansas, the Republicans, the Libertarians, and the Democrats, so, we've only got one choice. The Democrats will be having their first primary in about 20 years for governor, and so this means we're going to have to actually go out and vote for the best candidate here. Currently, there are 2 candidates already in the race, and a third one expected to enter the race soon. Now, I'm not going to get too much into who these candidates are, it's just too early to do that, and I'm not even sure on who I support myself because of that. But I will make a video closer to the election going over who the candidates are and who I support. It is important that we get out and vote in the primary, though, to get the best candidate, and then get out on Election Day next year and vote for the candidate against Kobach. This is how we will defeat him finally and once and for all. If we do this, he cannot come back. If we do all of these, we will be successful, but we cannot just say, oh, I'll do one but not the rest. We must do this and more if we are going to defeat Kobach come November of next year. This is so important that we defeat him, as I have shown in this video. And if you want to stop him, get involved and get active now. If we want to stop him, we'll need to get started immediately. Thanks everybody for watching this video. This has been the latest episode of Left Not Liberal. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Check out the links in the description. Please leave comments in the comments section below as well. I always like hearing your feedback. If you have disagreements, if you agree with me, if you want to suggest something, please let me know. I also now have a Patreon account, so if you like this video or my other videos and want to see more of them, please be willing to become a supporter on Patreon and help me get more supplies. This flag actually was purchased with some of my Patreon money. Thanks everybody. This week I also want to thank my first Patreon supporter, Gary Yaras. He's been a friend for quite some time, and he has been a great supporter so far. Gary, this flag is partially yours, I have to say. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day, and as always, solidarity.